The Pope's Final Message, a novella by P.J. Gott and Logan Light. Chapter 8, The Last Nasi, Rome, 425 CE. Oil lamps flickered in the moonlight as Nasi Gamaliel, 6 generations removed from the first Gamaliel, stood between the Porta Maggiore and Atis' tomb. Nearing 80, he leaned heavily on his staff, his breast shallow, his heart heavy. The burden he carried was not merely age, it was the weight of knowing he would be the last Nasi. A robed figure approached in silence. "The tomb is ready, Nasi," she whispered. She was one of the Nazarene women who had tended the sacred sites since childhood. Her eyes, luminous with reverence, met his. Gamaliel nodded. "Then we begin." He had spent days petitioning the emperor, arguing, not as a politician, but as a priest of a vanishing faith. The empire would now belong to Paul's Nicene church. The rituals of the Nazarenes would be banned, their memory erased. The resurrected gate of Shekinah, the Porta Maggiore, and the baker's tomb would be buried under stone, lost to time. But he had won one final mercy, to remove the remains of the couple entombed there, his ancestors, known to the faithful Nasarenes as YaH-Zeus and Mary Magdalene. The air was cool and scented with frankincense. Women in undyed linen robes encircled the tomb, oil lamps casting warm light over carved limestone. Gamaliel approached the tomb and rested his hand on its surface. "You gave us a lineage of peace, light, and love," he murmured. "We carry you now, not to hide you, but to preserve the flame." The women rolled back the stone with careful strength. Inside, the remains were still wrapped in linen. Each woman stepped forward, whispering words from ancient hymns. Gamaliel stepped aside as 2 men lifted the bones of the Nazarene onto a cedar board lined with woven reeds. Others did the same with the Magdalene. In the dead of night, they passed quietly along the cobbled street, a procession nearly invisible. No one spoke. The wind was their only companion. They reached the summit of Esquiline Hill just as dawn threatened the horizon. A small stone chapel stood ready. The emperor had permitted it, a structure so modest it drew no suspicion, and yet it faced east, toward the rising sun. There, beneath a newly laid altar, they buried the couple. Salt was poured in a spiral pattern. The silver feather of remembrance, carried from generation to generation, was laid between them. "This place," Gamaliel whispered, "will be called Santa Maria Maggiore. They will think it honors Mary the Virgin, but we know which Mary it holds, and with whom she rests in peace." The women wept silently. As the first rays of sunlight reached the chapel, Gamaliel closed the door behind him. He knew this act would outlive him. The stone would cover the memory, but not forever. In time, someone would come who could read the signs, and she would find them. The cameo, as agreed, had been delivered to the emperor to pay for this favor. This concludes Chapter 8. A bonus slide follows with important information about the baker's tomb and the Porta Maggiore. Join us next week for Chapter 9, The Call to Rome, and Chapter 10, The Nazarene Transmission. When Pope Gregory XVI uncovered the Baker's tomb in the Porta Maggiore in 1838, this full-length relief portrait of a man in toga and a woman in pallor were among the items recovered. The woman's head was removed in 1934, and shortly thereafter the relief went missing for decades. Sometime around 2019, a plaster replacement head was created. We point this out only because our 2015 book, Following Philo, In Search of the Magdalene, the Virgin, the Men Called Jesus, raised the issue of this lost relief portrait. We'll quote from it, page 295. The female head was stolen in 1934 after the grainy photo on page 296 was taken, and the relief was later lost, an unexpected tragedy for a city known for religiously preserving its ancient artifacts, whether Christian or pagan. Then in our 2018 book, Following Philo from Baal and Asherah to Jesus and Mary Magdalene, we noted, quote, the female head was stolen in 1934. At the time Following Philo Volume 1 was published, sources reported the relief had been lost. However, it is now listed on the Capitoline Museum's research site, along with the photo as the relief appears today, minus its head, I might note. It's possible that the woman's hairstyle gave away the date the tomb was constructed and was removed for that reason, and that was on page 25. So, lo and behold, somewhere around 2019, a plaster replacement head was created, and the found and repaired artifact is currently housed at the Centrale Montemartini Museum in Rome.